And welcome to EV Marketplace on Wednesday night. It's got to be 6:30. It's EV night. Hi, I'm Roscoe, and welcome to EV Marketplace, our show about deals, data, and EV discovery. Of course, this is a show about used EVs brought to you by Amazing EV, our very own used EV marketplace. And if you're looking for any used EV or you want to sell one, check in the links below. You can list for free. It's normally $29.95, but there's a link to list for free at the moment. But more about that later, as we've got a great night tonight for you and a very special guest joining us after halftime. He couldn't be with us tonight, but he did do a pre-recording last night. And I'm talking about Dave from Beyond EV, who, well, he's had some spectacular success on YouTube focusing on BYDs. And we really haven't done enough on BYDs yet. We focused a lot on Tesla. BYDs are just starting to come to the used market now. So we're going to weave the BYD theme through the entire night tonight. So if you're joining us live, thanks for joining us. If you're watching on catch up a bit later on Facebook or YouTube, strap yourselves in because we've got a great night. And hey, if you don't like BYDs, you're going to find out they're coming, and they're coming fast. And of course, Mrs. Amazing reminded me that the very first EV we ever went in was a BYD. And well, that was 4 years ago now. It's unbelievable. And we didn't actually get to drive it. They were so precious about it that we got to ride in it. Of course, the first EV I drove was a Polestar 2. But that was technically the first one we ever drove in EV outright was an Atto 3. So, God, that was not even 4 years ago. They've made so much progress since then. And this is not sponsored by BYD, no associations, no affiliations, corporate or dealer level. We're going to be selling BYDs. There's going to be a lot more of them. But coincidentally, we speaking to Dave about doing this show a couple of weeks ago, and he had no idea this was about to happen last week. And here's the new car sales for January, straight out of the box in 2026. 6 out of the top 10 already BYDs. Now, we're not here to judge the other brands for better or worse. We're just flabbergasted about how well BYD are doing. And yeah, look, it's been a lot of clear running for Tesla so far in the used market, but it's pretty obvious from a used EV analyst perspective and running a used EV market, we're going to see a whole lot more of these coming to market very, very soon. It's going to be absolutely amazing. BYD Atto 3 is continuing to sell well and is bubbling into the used market now. Seal's selling well, and even last night, I think Dave let an embargo go on a couple of new BYDs, a new hybrid at least. Atto 1's here, Atto 2's here. They're coming, and that is absolutely incredible. So we don't need to teach you the history of BYD in Australia, but it's worth checking back. It's only 4 years ago. I can't believe it. Luke Todd brought out BYD as a brand, a car brand. He'd already been working with them for a long time, and you can check all this out, but we find it fascinating. I just think this story is brilliant. How much guts he had to go back, and he'd already been dealing with them on the bus side of things. He had a business dealing with the airports, selling to the airports, trying to find an electric bus solution. We've been working with BYD, and then suddenly they took to the fore in cars. And we're going to see, but later in Dave's video, just how much devotion, how much resource, how much expertise, and why he's been following them, why he thinks they're the go, because it is incredible what they've achieved. You can see it on YouTube yourself, but we're going to start to see it on the used EV market. Again, no affiliation. Sure, there's been some ups and downs. We looked at the BYD Atto 3, and it's not even 4 years ago. There's the prices for 2022. Unbelievable. BYD Atto 3 standard range, 44,000, long range 47. On the road, it was just over 51, and that's what an Atto 3 was. There was one BYD at that stage. Absolutely unbelievable. And of course, it's not all smooth sailing. EV Direct was Luke Todd's company. They did a deal a couple of years later with Eggers, one of the biggest distribution dealer group chains, networks in Australia, to get some distribution out there to start selling them en masse. We remember going down to the warehouse, the showroom office down at William Street in Sydney, not far away from where we used to live at the time. It was just one little showroom at that stage, before the supercenters, before everything, and that's where it all started. But soon with Eggers, they got distribution and their own supercenters and a bit of investment, mind you. Not long after that, didn't take long for the success to become obvious to BYD corporate. This was going to be a big thing, and look, again, within 4 years, they've gone from a smallish, medium-sized, large distributor importer to BYD corporate taking over, and of course, multi-brand strategy now as well. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of cars. Unbelievable. It's even aspirations. This is before BYD corporate took over importing even aspirations to outsell Tesla. Now, wouldn't put it past them. We've got some grand predictions. I think they've pulled back from this one a bit. Hey, look, I don't know. They're here to stay. They've got some massive manpower. There's some incredible range now. Absolutely amazing. Here's the website now, picked up from this afternoon. Absolutely incredible. I think 10 cars, six of them pure EVs, which we're following. The rest hybrids, but from a standing start 4 years ago, with one car, now 10 cars, and incredible success right across the range. And of course, they're tapping into the plug-in hybrid side of things, and I don't blame them. There's market there. It's just that we're not following it. So I get it, and just fantastic from their perspective. But let's dive into the Amazing EV now, our own marketplace, because we just, again, coincidentally had quite a few BYDs listed, and there haven't been that many compared to Teslas around. It hasn't been something that's been that prevalent yet, but we're just starting to get a few coming through, and quite a few listings. If you're looking for something, different types of cars coming into the marketplace now. Really impressed. Again, not many of these around. The Sea Lion 7. This is one of the more recent models, only 15,000 Ks, a 2025 model, well under retail. Beautiful car. This is the sort of thing that, again, on the used market, starts to make you wonder whether you're going to buy new already, whether you should be buying used, because beautiful car, absolutely fantastic. Model Y competitor, straight out of the box for a 2025 model, and $50,000 odd. That one's based in Sydney, suburban Sydney. If you're looking, very impressed with that one. Love this sort of thing. Different types of cars. We've got the Dolphin there as well. Just come through. Had the Dolphin. Atto 3. Wonderful car. Absolutely brilliant. Had a Dolphin there this afternoon, and it might have been sold already. That's how quick the things are moving. Extended range Atto 3. This sort of thing. Really impressive again. From 32,000. They've dropped in price a bit, and there's been some good deals new. This one, Ferntree Gully, and just look, I mean, this is the sort of thing I'm really impressed with. Love these cars, driven them myself, and just, I think, a no-nonsense car. Not good at anything in particular, but just a great family small SUV, just doing everything really, really well. And this is where BYD got it right, and that's why you can see why the BYD Atto 3 is still selling really well on the new market. On the second-hand market, got to start to ask yourself whether you'd buy an Atto 2 or an Atto 1 at 30 grand on the road. This is the same sorts of questions I'm asking myself. Or 32 for a really nice extended range Atto 3. Some big questions to ask now. This one's done 50,000 Ks. So we've had Atto 3s on the website for that. One in particular had done very close, what was, I think, close to record breaking. Lots of others have come in to claim this crown. And good evening, Mrs. Amazing. Thanks for joining us tonight. Anyone else on board? Good to see you here. But this incredible extended range model Atto 3, 170,000, maybe 180,000 Ks now. 2 or 3 year old car, 2023, 2.5, 3 year old car. Sure, it's been Ubered, but this has done 10 years driving in 2.5 years. It's unbelievable. About, really think he's looking for somewhere around about the 20 grand mark for this car, which, look, you can get a battery test on it. We've talked about battery tests in the past before, and we'll come back to that as well. This is the sort of thing where, again, it's done a lot better than most people expected, and it's really impressive to see these cars doing really, really well. The BYDs are not as prevalent on the used market. They are selling a lot quicker, I think, but really seeing some nice models. And again, nice Atto 3 up in Queensland, really nice car. Again, 2025 model, only done 11,000 Ks. Changed your mind, I think. Wasn't quite the one for her. But if you're in Queensland and you're looking $40,000 odd, maybe a bit less, for almost brand new Atto 3 black. This color wasn't available on release. We always thought this should have been a black from release, but it wasn't included. But you can get black now. I like it. It's good in black. Check it out if you're in Queensland, if you're looking for something like that. Love this sort of thing. So starting to get some really nice examples coming onto the secondhand market. Again, rarish, and the Seals are coming and going. Tom Garn sold his Seal Premium probably 6 months ago now, maybe a little bit longer. Good price for it after owning it for less than a year. And they were coming and going, and they're well sought after. Got a call on it this afternoon from a guy who was looking for a Seal Premium. Same one that Dave's got. That's the rear-wheel drive, best combination probably of performance and luxury. And he's up in Newcastle. If anyone knows anyone wants to sell a BYD Seal Premium around the Newcastle area, contact us. Let us know. We're happy to put anyone in touch if we haven't got it listed on the website. So we're doing it all the time. If you want to find something, you're looking for something that we don't have, we'll try and find it across the other markets because, as you know, or as we've said, as we're going to keep saying, it is really important for us to boost the whole market. We're supporting Facebook. We're supporting car sales. We're supporting Pickles, Gumtree, anyone. We're supporting the dealers, private sellers, auction houses, anyone that's selling on the used EV market. We want to promote this and get this market moving again. So this is what the show's all about, and that's part of our plan as well. Don't forget, BYD, yeah, it's been reverse engineered to stand for Build Your Dreams. A bit like LG and Life's Good. Rolls off the tongue. I don't think that's where it came from originally, but we're big supporters of BYD, and Dave's going to tell us a couple of stories later on about his experience and going to the factory, and mind-blowing for him, mind-blowing for me listening to his stories as well. So great to see some beautiful BYDs coming onto the market. We've got a few here. They're going quickly, doing really well. Batteries, the Blade battery doing better than expected, going really well. Yes, I've heard some maintenance stories. Yes, things are taking some time. Yes, there's always some ups and downs getting parts. We hear you. We're with you. We're listening. We're not arguing. We're not part of BYD corporate, but now they've got the distribution sorted out. They've got the internal maintenance sorted out. They've got the corporate importation sorted out. I think they're going to go gangbusters. They're committed, and they'll bring all the infrastructure, which we know is needed to support the used market. It's one of those brands that, yes, it's been a bit slow. Yes, they put the horse before the cart a few times, but they're going to get there, and they're making progress very, very fast. Toyota, we'll see in a couple of years' time. But I wouldn't put it past them. Now it's time for breaking EV news. And you might remember, or if you got a chance to have a look at last week's video, we did a full wrap of 2025, the update from the Australian the Australian Automobile Dealers Association. And along with AutoGrab, they do a monthly report, which gives us a really nice carve out of the used EV sales as part of the broader look at the used car sales in Australia. The monthly figures for January just dropped last week. You can check it out online. It's up there. We did a full wrap of 2025, all the trends, and the market was up 60% last year. January started off strong. I haven't had a chance to go through all the numbers yet, and we'll bring that to you next week, I hope. This was just a short summary from the CEO, James Vortman. Broadly, the market was down from December last year, month on month, December 2025. Supply side listings declined by 5%. So a bit quieter for January. They normally have a reasonable January. That's the broader market. On the flip side, EVs were up 20%. EV sales were up 20% in January. So listings were up also, but sales were up also. So a really strong start. Hybrids were up. We're not really looking at the hybrids number, but EVs were up. Pure EVs were up 20% over the previous month. Again, December wasn't a great month, but good January for selling. Days to sell was also up a bit as well. So interesting dynamics going on. Things, normal correlations aren't necessarily applying. We'll dig a bit deeper, but snapshot from the AADA out this afternoon. I brought it to you about the used EV market. Used EV sales up 20% so far in January compared to the previous month. So great start for the year. And look, we're expecting big things. I'm expecting it. I think we arrived at a figure of about 30 odd thousand sold last year. Just a small amount, small pimple in the whole scheme of things. Look forward to talking about these sales later as the year rolls out. Really good, big, interesting to see, and great to track those every month. We'll be bringing those to you monthly and more of an update next week. Pickles auctions also we talked about in our yearly update last year, and this is worth digging into again because Pickles have done quite an extraordinary thing, and they're getting a battery test for every EV. So Pickles, of course, are taking fleet cars. They are primarily servicing the dealer network, but they're also selling more and more to private sellers. Again, we encourage this, and their sales were up 60 odd % as well from gradually building and building, giving dealers confidence. The EV battery test is one of the things that they attribute that to, putting confidence back into the dealer market with the EV battery test. And we've talked about this, and we'll talk about it again and again from Test EV. If you want a battery test, if you're looking to buy a car, it's a great idea. If you're looking to sell it, it's a great certificate. If you're looking to trade a car, if you're a dealer and you're listening to this, you're looking to trade a car, you could save yourself a lot of money by simply spending a couple $100 on a battery test to make sure. This goes right down to cell level, gives you quality, structure, all the factors you need to make sure you're not going to chuck 20 or 30 down the drain. We were interested, though, because Pickles drew out some interesting conclusions from all the cars because they're testing every EV now. They've got a battery certificate. If you check online, if you're interested in buying from auction, go for it. Perhaps this will give you, as a private buyer, a bit more confidence. We thought Pickles were doing a wonderful thing as well, and we're going to encourage it on AmazingEV. We're part of this testing EV train. One of the more interesting things I found was that this big debate about DC charging versus AC charging, which was better for your battery. And I think a couple of guys talking electric cars had it on their podcast this week as well. We mentioned it last week. I thought I'd just recap again because it's a great bit of news. And it's worth remembering, again, from a sample of 1,000 odd cars. Hal, good to join us. Thanks for joining us, Hal. Good to see you. We're having a great week and going really, really well. Yeah, we're pushing on, but having a lot of fun at the same time. So thanks for joining us. This was really interesting because, yeah, again, the age-old debate, the 2 or 3 year old debate, whether DC charging is better or worse. The common belief was that it's worse. Without going into too much detail, they've tested over close to 1,000 cars, 800 to 1,000 cars. They have already decided that it is only marginal, the difference, because the battery test that they do goes right down to determining where the charge came from. They can tell from the battery test and the battery data on board each car where the charge came from, whether it was AC sourced or DC sourced. In case you're wondering, DC is the fast charging direct current. Let's go up a level, not assume too much. It's when you pull up a charging station at a Tesla or a roadside or an Ampol or wherever, again, no affiliation, any charging companies, it's like a petrol station for us. We've DC charged for most of our life, some home charging, but a lot of DC charging as well. Hasn't let it bother me. Again, AC is what you'd normally get at home, even with your wall box going 11 kilowatt hour or 20 up to 20, 22 for some cars. That's AC. Obviously, the car can take DC straight into the battery, bypass the alternator, bypass the inverter, and go straight into the battery. There's a lot of belief that that's not as good for the battery. According to Pickles and the data, and the small sample and the small time from the data they get right down at cell level, not a huge difference, only a couple of % between AC and DC charging. So we'll follow this one closely because they've already, well, they tend to think it's not making a huge difference. It's not really affecting overall. And the overall results much better than anyone ever imagined. So Thanks, Pickles. It's great to have someone doing something consistent tests, get that information out there. Good to see. Now, of course, time for my favorite. Um, great messages, and it's fantastic to see this one in relation to the work that we did last week with Graham. That was a great show. Thanks, Graham, again, because EV conversions, it's a fantastic part of his business, but also restoring and upgrading batteries on Nissan Leafs, iMIEBs, i3, BMWs, all sorts. Just keeping these cars on the road is Graham's passion. Converting and restoring, it's a wonderful, expensive hobby. You can convert and restore anything, but how about this question from Aft Online? How about an EV conversion of an Aussie car like a Commodore, a Falcon, or Classic Holden, Valiant? Good thinking. There is a thing, and I've seen it before. I replied on YouTube to his comment that there was an article, and I picked it back up again off Car Sales blog, that, and you might have seen this one yourself. This has been around. I don't know about the veracity of this one, whether this is real, whether this is folklore, whether it's actually happened. Apparently, it's true. But keeping the BYD theme alive, there was a Holden VN Commodore that was sold. And this guy, Sam Faulkner, a Chinese car fanatic, apparently a company called Beijing Travel Vehicle Works, was originally responsible for importing a van into China. The thing is, when BYD founder Wang Fu was looking to expand, he purchased this thing called BJ6490D. It was a Holden VN Commodore ICE drivetrain, which that was ripped out and replaced by a combination of Chinese and American EV components. So it could be one of the first EVs in actual China bought by BYD was, in fact, a classic. So, yeah, anything is possible. There's no doubt about it. And here's one to keep you grounded on YouTube. And I don't get a lot of flack, and it's good. It's a peaceful place. It's a happy place, our YouTube channel. This one's fair enough because from JS Sonich, Jim perhaps commented, good content, man. But man, you could have cut that down to 8 minutes. No one's got 22 minutes of their life to burn on that. Good point. And we'll take it on board. And by way of an explanation, yeah, we had a few audio problems when this segment, an interview with Dave, went to air last week. And so fortunately, he saved it for us at his end. I took it out, repackaged as a separate video to do justice to it, and it turned out to be 22 minutes on a conversation, yeah, which was, with all due respect, designed to take probably 10 or 12. So good point, Jim. We'll keep that in mind. Keep the comments coming. We're happy to take the criticism. We'll take it on board. No way. No, don't worry, dude. We'll look after you next time. So we'll take the good with the bad. But this one also, good point on Sarah's video. She was looking for a 4.3-ish meter SUV EV. Now that puts it in the small medium category of SUV EVs. Not many in this category. We went through a few, from the Zeekr X, the EX30, and what she bought, the Kia EV3, a couple from the Geely platform as well. But then luckily, Solar-42 reminded us that the Kona Electric 64 kilowatt fits the 4.3 meter profile. And sure enough, would have been a great option. And love this one. One of the ones from Hyundai, which is under-promoted, undervalued, under-considered. We found one on car sales for 40 odd grand. All low Ks, great car, 2023. This is a fantastic opportunity here again for a small, medium size. The BYD steps up to probably 4.4-ish, 4.4 and a half. BYD Atto 3, the BYD Atto 1 or Seagull is around about 4. So it's a tightish, neat little. But that 200, if that's the market, that's the market. This one fits in slap bang really nicely. Love this car. Thanks for bringing it to attention. I agree. I just think underloved, underpromoted by Hyundai, and great. Again, good to see that one. And thanks for bringing that to our attention. So look, that brings us close to halfway. After the break, we're going to have a small break. We're going to have a cruise around Amazing EV website, take a look at some of the listings we've got during the week, some of the cars you might not have seen, might not have considered. Then we're going to catch up with Dave on our pre-recorded session we did last night. He's from Beyond EV. He's focused on BYD. He knows everything about them, more than anyone I know. But he's about to branch out as well. But we're going to dig into his experience, have a look at what he loves about it, why he was attracted to it. I went down a Tesla path. He went right down the BYD path. So catch this after the break, and I'll see you later. Can we do it?
We're live.
All right. Here we go. And welcome back. And we've got a special guest with us for the second half of the show, and that's Dave from Beyond EV. You've probably seen him on YouTube. He's everywhere talking BYD, and I've been following him for a long time. We've known each other for a couple of years now. We've probably been following BYD and Tesla. I took one path. I went down the Tesla route. He maybe made the same discovery about EVs, maybe about the same time. Went down the BYD route, and how he's the go-to guy on YouTube for BYD. But starting to expand out, and welcome, Dave. And I'm just going to take you back to that aha moment when you first decided EVs were going to be the thing. What happened?
Well, Roscoe, my man, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be on the show. My aha moment, that would have to be, to be honest, I didn't have a lot of sort of exposure to EVs, I guess, before I got my Seal. So getting my Seal was my aha moment. And I'll add some context and some history to this. Like my car before this was a Ford Falcon FG XR6, and I planned to drive that thing till the wheels fell off. And basically, you just can't do that with a Ford Barra because they just go and go and go. I did 300,000 Ks in that thing, and that's what I learned on how to work on cars and service them and things like that. But it was time to move it on. But my aha moment was working out the total cost of ownership when going to the BYD Seal from the Ford. And I worked out for my personal circumstances that if I kept my Ford for another 5 years, it was going to cost me around $35,000. That's petrol, insurance, servicing, all of that. But with the BYD Seal, and at the time it was about $58,000 on a novated lease, the repayments, electricity, insurance, all of that was going to total $35,000 over 5 years. And then I had a balloon payment at the end. So I'm like, I can spend the same money and get a brand new car that costs next to nothing. And it's basically like buying a brand new car for $20,000, whatever the balloon payment is. So that was my aha moment, and I made the jump.
Yeah, look, I can't argue with the financial side of owning an EV. That's been a consideration for me as well. There's no doubt about it. So the Seal was the first EV you ever drove? Yeah.
Properly, yes. I've been in EVs like Teslas and whatnot before then, but never really as like a driver, maybe just like a hoon around the block or something like that. But this is the first time I'd actually driven it out on open roads and things like that. So to be honest, I wasn't a big Tesla fan, just of not just of EVs, just and not of the brand. Just I wasn't a fan of just the car, the design, minimalism. It's not my thing. So it didn't really appeal to me. Even when I've been in a Tesla, that instant torque and acceleration. That never really interested me if the car didn't interest me. I'm a comfort guy. I love things that are
Yeah.
comfortable,
Yeah.
easy to use, and that's the impression that I got jumping in the Seal straight away.
Yeah, I got to the same conclusion 2 or 3 years ago. I went Tesla. My wife, we drove the Atto 3, we drove the Polestar 2, and we drove the Tesla, and that was it. So
Yeah.
I can fully understand the rationale going one way or another. We were looking for something different, but yeah, the model, the Seal is certainly a very different experience than the Model Y. That's for sure.
Mm.
And then how did all this start? I guess could you call it an obsession with BYD?
You could definitely call it that.
What
It's
would you
definitely
call
an
it?
obsession. Yeah, it's obsession, compulsion, whatever you want to call it. Um, Diagnosed illness, I don't know. That started with me trying to convince myself to buy an EV. Like
Yeah,
when I do something, I don't do things by halves. I research everything from down to the little numbers and little bits of information that you just wouldn't find anywhere. And I researched for about 4 months straight,
yeah,
just what this car is, what's under the bonnet, what's driving the wheels, who makes it, who makes the parts that go in it, all
yeah,
of that stuff. And because I hadn't really had any exposure to this company, I just saw this car and like, that is awesome. It would be the perfect car if it's built well and it has a reputation.
yeah.
So I did that for about 4 months and then finally pulled the trigger. And then I just realized I had all this information and I have this car that I think is the best looking EV on the road right now.
Yeah.
I should put all that information in a video and see if people would be interested. And that's
Mm.
when the first video came out. Who was BYD?
We're having a look at Dave's first video now. We've got that on screen. Yeah, and look, that was only a couple of years ago. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, I think that was June 24.
Yeah, I know. It's not even 2 years ago. And I know,
Mm.
let's go back to BYD as a case study. Again, it's catching up fast. Like how many? Like 4 years already only in the country. And we had a look at earlier. We went back to a bit of history on BYD um, where they started off as just importing it with a dream with Luke Todd running a pretty successful bus company for the airports, bringing out electric buses. Then it was this idea about perhaps manufacturing in Australia. Then it was this thing called the Atto 3, but by a company called Build Your Dreams, which copped a bit of flack, right? And people had no idea. And now suddenly, 4 years later, they are purporting, you could say they'll challenge Toyota in the next few years. I've got no doubt about it either. And then you've had a chance to dig deep into it. What makes them so special?
There's one that you missed there, actually. You missed the BYD E6 came before the Atto 3.
Yeah, we'll put a picture up of that.
Yeah.
the ugly duckling.
That one was just for ride shares, though. That one you couldn't really
Yeah.
buy in mass numbers. The Atto 3 was definitely the first one you could go into a shop and actually buy. Car manufacturers, like particularly legacy manufacturers, what's their specialty? What makes a brand special and what gives them their prestige? And I think it comes down to their expertise in engineering, in particular in engine engineering.
I agree.
That's what they're experts in.
I agree.
Whereas BYD came from the very beginning an electronics and battery manufacturing background. So as far as EVs are concerned, I'm not saying automobiles in general, but the EV segment, I don't think there is another maker that has the same pedigree as them when it comes to developing an EV drivetrain. They were building mobile phone components before Apple were. That's how far back their electronics prowess goes. So when I found that sort of information out, that's when I sort of built a lot of trust around the electronics and stuff that goes on behind the scenes in a BYD. And then the battery. I mean, that's the other big thing, the battery itself. Them going out on a limb, being one of the first to specifically pick LFP. That was the technology they picked with their battery in the beginning.
For those that don't know the acronym,
Yeah. Oh, lithium iron phosphate. That was the battery that they picked, and that was the one that Elon Musk laughed at them at back in 2009, saying, "Have you seen their car? It doesn't look any good." And he actually specifically said the technology isn't sound. Those were his exact words. And BYD didn't falter. They stuck with that. They developed it, and now look at it. It's available as 1,000 watts, 1,000 volts, sorry, with 1,000 kilowatt charging. And is now the go-to preferred battery tech in terms of safety and longevity. So, yeah, that's sort of what made me pick, I guess, BYD for my car, and why
Yeah.
I think they'll just keep growing, because they've got that history that the other brands just don't have in terms of EV development and manufacturing.
How old is the company? It's at least
Company
20.
started in February 1995.
Yeah.
They started making their first cars in the mid 2000s, and they had their own first prototypes. But the first proper EV came out
Mm,
in 2010,
mm,
and that was the F3,
mm.
BYD F3, I think it was called, or E3, can't remember. But that came out about a year before the Tesla Roadster.
Yeah.
So it looked like a pretty poor
Yeah.
copy of a Toyota Corolla, and it didn't go
And I
very
go back,
well. It didn't go very
go back
far.
40 years. Yeah, go back 40 years and have a look at the first Hyundais that came to Australia.
Yeah,
It took 40 years what took BYD 6 or 7, right? Yeah.
but they gave it a crack. They
Yeah.
copped a lot of criticisms from all around the world about it. They had it on the stand at the Detroit Auto Show in 2009 because they wanted to sort of crack the US market at that point, and that's where Elon saw it and
Yeah.
sort of smirked at it a little bit. And sort of like, truth be told, I think everyone else did as well. It didn't look
Yeah.
like a nice car; it just looked like an average car. So it took until Wolfgang Eger came along in
Yeah.
around 2020, when their design language just changed. And like, it's all well and good to have that underlying tech that's awesome,
Mm,
but if it's not packaged in a product that is appealing to people, they're not going to buy it.
yeah.
It's one of the number one decision making criteria that people have when buying a car is, does the car look
True.
good?
That's true. I know. I mean, I've always felt that as a gut feeling. If a car's not good looking, it's just not going to work. And what defines good looking? Well, your good looking is different from mine, but there's some commonality and some things that don't make it good looking. But I agree, unless it has something, it's not going to be attractive to people to buy, no matter what it does or how it does it, right? So
Yeah, yeah. So that
um,
was the,
he,
I think that was their
he was
moment.
he was a former designer from. Where'd they poach Eggers from? Eggers.
Audi.
Audi, that's right. Yeah, and I think that's been one of the secrets as well. Hiring a lot of good designers from different overseas manufacturers,
Mhm.
and suddenly you've got all these design houses for a lot of these Chinese brands, and that's been one of the secrets as well. Some of these
Yeah,
designers cut loose and do things that they've never been able to do before, right? So
yeah. That's it. And it definitely gave them the edge that they needed. I think that was the piece that they were missing, was just making something that looked sort of unique to them, and something sort of fresh and appealing to the market, not just an average, cheap car.
you went over there, right? You got to see. I've got some video up. I've got some video up now of your tour of the Chinese of the BYD factory. Yeah, that must have been
Yes.
hard.
Yeah, that was like being a kid in a candy shop is probably the best way to describe it. I mean, it's one of those pinch yourself moments. Like, I've spent my last 2 years doing nothing but reading BYD tech and looking and under the skin and reading spec sheets, and but to actually then stand in the space where they're all put together was pretty incredible. Um, yeah, that we started off in Zhengzhou, which was
Yeah.
the it's actually the largest EV manufacturing site in the world. It's larger than every Tesla gigafactory in the world put together combined, times 7. It's
Unbelievable. Someone said bigger than San Francisco. I somewhere I read too. So,
it is.
unbelievable.
The land is. It's not. It's only they've only built one phase, so it's only about one third the size of San Francisco. So yeah, it's not that big, but it's big.
I don't know how big San Francisco is, but it's got to be big, right?
Yeah,
So,
it's big enough. But yeah, no, that was amazing. But the one thing that sort of I noticed straight away was just how few people are
yeah,
in there. Like, it was heavily automated. We weren't allowed to film in there, so we couldn't
yeah,
take any pictures or anything like that. But we can describe what happened in there, and it was just there was very few people. I think we were in the welding factory. So that's where the panels get sort of put together. And yeah, they just move from one station to another. A bunch of robots tack them together and it moves to the next one. There was maybe one person with a broom who was sweeping all the stuff off the floor. That was it. That was the employee of the month, I guess.
Hey, look, it's unbelievable what you've had a chance to see in the insights now that you've got for BYD. We've spent a lot of time with Tesla. It's great to get back into BYD in a bit more detail. And I want to pick your brain. We are focusing on used EVs, and I want to pick your brain a bit more on owning a BYD Seal. We've shown a few Atto 3s on the site, and they've been selling. They haven't come to market as quickly as Tesla Model 3s and Model Ys. I've got to say, they're few and far between. So maybe that says something. I haven't got exact data, but maybe that says something about the BYD owner. They aren't passing through as much, but they are starting to trickle through it. And now, including one I showed earlier, which a taxi, Uber Atto 3 had done 180,000, 190,000 Ks in 3 years, like 10 years driving, and just still going. And he's selling it. Like, I mean, unbelievable, really. That all the naysayers, 10 years driving in 3 years, bang, just like that, right? No problem. Yeah. But go back to your Seal if you can. So, where did expectation meet reality in terms of your driving? And I know you might have had a little ding in the back of it as well. From what I saw.
Yes. No, I think I've owned a few new cars over the years. I've been pretty lucky. Like, I haven't had any major faults with any of them. So I don't think I've had a lot to really test, I guess, after sales support and ongoing support from BYD. I have had 2 incidents where I have had to use external support. So yes, I have been rear-ended and I had to get a full new back end installed on the car. And I also install my own parts and stuff on this car as well. So I've seen under the bonnet. So there's a lot of like just people who are just, anti-EV, anti-China EV, just go, they're made of paper, whatever. I've seen it. They're legit. They're made of proper steel. The reinforcement bar is proper. For me, I know I think I did pretty well in terms of response for support. We had the parts as about a 1 month wait to get everything, headlights, boot lid, everything. But then because it was over New Year's and Christmas, the smash repairer had closed. So I had to wait another few weeks. So it ended up being 2 months total, which for me is pretty good.
Not typical. Yeah, no, and then driving the car and living with it versus all the calculations, all the research, and then getting in and going every day. Does it still put a smile on your face?
Oh, every day. That's why I now have it as my background in my videos. I can't stop looking at it, and I want everyone else to look at it too. No, it's great. It's the one thing. So when I drove my Ford and all my other cars, things deteriorate over time. It feels looser. It doesn't feel as tight as what it does when you first get it. But with this, it feels just as tight as day one. If I put my foot down on the accelerator, I don't notice any difference now than what it was 2 years ago when I first got it, which I think was a pretty noticeable thing for me. And now that I'm driving a lot more cars, it's even more noticeable now how good this responds just 2 years later.
We'll come back to that because I'm keen to find out where you're going and what you're doing now that you're going to start getting some comparisons with other cars, other models, as well as BYDs. But sticking with the Seal, would you recommend it to someone on the used market?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, honestly, I don't like. I think this is the best looking EV overall on the market. And people can have their own opinions, but I just think this thing looks sexy and the fact that it's 2 years old now in Australia, but the product line is about 3 or 4 years old, and I still think it looks new. Like you could release this tomorrow and people go, wow, that's a pretty awesome looking car. It's a design that is long lasting. I don't think this is going to go out of fashion. That's what keeps me sort of interested in it and liking it and loving looking at it. Just from looks alone, it's something I recommend.
Which model is yours?
I got the premium, which is the sweet spot for the line. You've got the dynamic, which has got a lower, less powerful engine in it, and then you've got the all-wheel drive performance if you want to um, beat other Ford owners at the lines. But
you don't drive with a heavy foot, though. That's for sure. Not would you?
no.
I've got a mate who's just bought a Tesla Model Y Performance, and he's just honing it off every line at the moment. He just can't help himself.
Why wouldn't you? Well, that's the thing. That's if you got it, use it. Why else would you get it?
Exactly.
Oh, that's one thing I will raise. I did like a tire review just to see how long they would last.
Yeah. I was going to ask him.
The tire tread got pretty low at around 25, but I ended up getting like another 15,000 Ks on it. So I thought I would have to change before 30, but I ended up changing at about 40,000 Ks, which I think is pretty reasonable for an EV. I know some got more. I know some have had a lot less.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they're the ones that are putting the foot down every time. But for stock tires on an EV that gets pretty decent power down to the floor, I think that's pretty good.
It's all-wheel drive? Yeah, remind me, I can't remember, yeah.
No, mine's rear-wheel drive. Rear-wheel drive premium, but 230 kilowatts.
Did you rotate front to back or not?
Yeah. I rotate every 10,000.
And I think that's the key. And then others have even suggested because they're non-directional, so rotating inside out as well, because often, particularly with the Teslas, I can't compare with the BYD. There's inside camber problems, so you rotate them inside out as well. But yeah, 40,000 seems to be the go. That's same for me, driving different car, different situation. But yeah, that's what I was getting out of my old petrol cars, 40,000. That's all. So stop start around the city, mostly urban driving, not with a combination of freeway, but stop start. So yeah. Anything else that you'd say to yourself, hey, I wouldn't make a different decision if I had to buy the same car today?
No, the only thing that probably holds it back is, and this is a common thing with BYDs in general, is, and it can be a benefit, but it can also be a curse. They prioritize rear passenger space.
Yeah.
At the sacrifice of boot capacity.
Yeah. Okay.
So you'll find if you're sitting in the back of this thing has more room, I reckon, in the back seat than a lot of SUVs of the same size. It's just really got a lot of leg room. But when you open up the boot, it doesn't go down very deep. It's not very tall. You haven't got a lot of boot capacity. So one thing, if I could change one thing about this car, I'd move the seats slightly a bit more forward just to get a little bit more boot capacity in the back. But then again, that's why the C-Line 7 exists now. So you don't have to do that.
Just stepping back to the 803, surprisingly well new, and a few starting to trickle onto the used car market and getting good prices for them as well. Have you spent much time on the 803?
I've driven a couple, yeah. They drive... there's nothing really exciting in terms of, compared to this, like it drives well, it drives solid.
Yeah.
Particularly if you're buying it used, it's one of those cars where I don't think you can really go wrong with it.
Nah.
Like you got that guy with 190,000 Ks on the clock, nothing wrong with it. It's not overpowered, it's not underpowered. It's a car. It's a good size to make it nimble enough to sort of navigate car parks pretty easily. It's not too big. So yeah, if you've got, 2 kids, a dog, whatever, it's a perfect car for that.
Is the interior of the BYD 803 for you or not? It can be polarizing.
No, I'll flat out just say no. It's not for me. Some people love it. I don't. I'm not.
Again, plenty of people. Yeah, plenty of people who love that car too. And say coming on the secondhand market, it seems to be it's a goer at 30, late 20s, 30s now. There's some good ones coming around. That high K one was closer to 20, but I think they're nice. That sweet spot for me for usedies is in that 25 to 35, and it makes a hell of a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Hey, that's great, Dave, and thanks for sharing that about the BYDs, because we're going to get more of an insight, and hopefully you can come back with a bit more nods on some other cars, because I hear, and I've seen in your videos, you're branching out from BYD, like BYD themselves, who are planning on taking on the whole Australian market. You're branching out into some other brands as well on your channel.
Yeah, that's it. It's not just BYD that's coming out
Yeah,
with some good technology. There's a lot of good tech coming out from a lot of other brands. And I say this like I'm more than an EV advocate. I'm a technology advocate. I
yeah,
like seeing progression, and whether that comes from BYD or someone else, it doesn't matter. I have an interest in seeing things get more efficient, use less power, use more longer lasting, more durable, more user friendly. And people might not know this, but a lot of the brands over in China, they're not just competing, but they also sort of share technologies as well.
yeah,
So they don't just compete; they sometimes help each other. So when
yeah,
one does one thing, another one will then just try and beat them, and then another one, and then another one. So yeah, I want to be able to cover all of that and cover every step of that progression,
yeah.
not just one step every three. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I know. There's so much out there. I know you're going to be, if you
Mm.
weren't full time already, you are going to be full time now. And I really liked your one on the Canadian market, because as soon as you got an inkling that they were going to get a allocation of Chinese EVs, or Chinese, well, we assume they're going to be EVs, but Chinese cars coming into, you were
Mm.
straight on it with your video, which did really, really well, right? That must have tapped in straight into what they were looking for, some
Yep.
information about these Chinese cars. I mean, they were
Yep.
off limits, and then suddenly we're going to get them. That must have been exciting for them. So,
Yeah, it was, and surprising for even for me. Like I
yeah,
just did it to just see, just sort of test the waters and just see how much information they had over there, because I didn't really do a lot of research into that market before making that video. But the surprising
they
for me
some of the
was,
comments, they were impressed by the amount of research you'd done. Some of the
yeah,
comments, like,
no, well, I was surprised by how positive the response
yeah,
was,
yeah,
because I think a lot of our media down here sort of portray, particularly
yeah,
US, very
yeah,
protectionist and very American, but
mm,
Canada's completely different, and
yeah,
they're their own population with their own desires and wants and needs, and they're actually by and large welcoming these
yeah,
EVs just to create more competition. They want more competition. They don't want to be
yeah.
shoehorned into just getting them from one country, and they see the benefits, and they were pretty happy to see what would be available if they did open their doors up. They're not the only country in North America that is open to Chinese EVs. You've got Mexico and some of the other countries further down. So if they do set up shop there, they could be
Yeah.
the hub instead of Mexico for Chinese brand manufacturing. Who knows?
You did a thing with a guy who in South America who had a BYD early. They've had BYDs in different South American countries, and a few other EV Utes as well down there for a while, for a long while, right? So
Yeah.
I know they. Yeah, it's a different world. We've been blind to it for a long time. It just fascinates me. One of the things I'm going to do is a used car price parity for something like a
Mhm.
Model 3 around the world, because
Yep.
I think we fundamentally still, coming back to the new market, have some pretty good pricing here compared to dollar for dollar compared to the rest of the world, even with small tariffs from some countries.
I'll give you a suggestion, and for the viewers as well. If you
Yeah,
really want to see how well, particularly BYD EVs will last,
yeah,
check out some videos from Brazil, because they put their cars through the ringer, and they're a heavy rideshare market.
yeah.
Um, there is a channel in particular, if you don't mind me sort of just
Yeah, no,
plugging.
I'll put it up. I'll put it up there. Yeah.
It's called
I'll put,
Texiera Electric. It's a guy named Gilson. He's a mechanic. He's an EV mechanic in Brazil, and he's had BYD Dolphins with 200,000 plus kilometers. He's had seagulls with 150,000 plus, and he gets them up on the hoist, and he goes. You've got to translate it because it's all in Portuguese, but
yeah,
it's like the only thing I've had to change on this is brake pads and tires
yeah,
and fluids. That's it. Structurally, everything is fine.
yeah.
He has a whole catalog of all the cars he serviced. So check that out if you want to get a bit of an insight on what these cars can do 300,000 kilometers down the track.
Fantastic. Yeah, I love watching that stuff from overseas as well. And some of these markets have had these cars for a long time, and
Yeah.
we're just getting them, and we're so surprised about a lot of aspects of it. But some of the markets, yeah. And if we weren't right-hand drive and had to wait for another right-hand drive market to come here, we'd have a whole lot more. So yeah, there'll be a couple of shiploads of BYD ships on their way to Canada very, very soon, I would say.
I think so.
I don't know what you think, but I don't care. I don't think they'll care if they make any money. They could drop 50,000 cars without making a cent, and they'd be happy in the first year.
Yeah.
And just to start getting the market penetration, right?
The way I see it, there's a cap. So there's only, 49,000 cars a year.
Yeah.
I think it's not going to be about how much money we can make in that first couple of years. It's going to be how much market share can we get, how much brand visibility can we get across the country. Whoever gets the lion's share is the one that everyone, I think, is going to be the most comfortable with first. So yeah, I think you'll see that happening in a lot more countries, a lot more markets. People are starting to change their tune. It's just it's the company people want. It's what people, the general public sort of are looking for. Just a general car that'll get you from A to B comfortably, reliably. Doesn't need to do 0 to 100 in 2 seconds. It doesn't, as long as it doesn't break down. It's comfortable. It's quiet. I think that's what most people want.
Sounds a bit like Toyota, doesn't it? So
yeah, that's exactly it. And that's what they call BYD in China, the Toyota of China.
I know. I'll put up another chart of market share as well. Mark from Inside China Auto does that chart every month, and we'll put up the market share. We won't go into that now, but yeah, they're still number one by a long, long way. And overall, across all powertrains, sure, we're not going to break it down to EVs today. I may leave it out. We'll see how we go. But yeah, unbelievable. But hopefully you can still be our go-to guy, even though you're moving into bigger and better things. Hopefully you can still be our go-to guy for BYD and having a look at a few cars in the future as they start to roll into the used market. But I also hope they stay with you and you get some more trips. If there's any innovations in BYD, I hope you get a chance to get over there again. Are you looking at the Shanghai? Is it Shanghai coming up, or is it Beijing this year?
Beijing's coming up. I'd love to get over there. Nothing's been organised yet, so I haven't been approached by
any dealers out there want to send Dave to any dealers want to send Dave to Beijing? He's happy to go. Thanks, Dave. I really appreciate it. And for those of you who don't know where to find you, can you tell us how to find you on socials?
Yeah, so my YouTube channel is at Beyond-EV. I'm also on TikTok. Just look up Beyond EV on TikTok and you'll find me there. I've got a few shorts. Probably don't post there as often as what I do on my YouTube channel. And I'm on Instagram and Facebook as well, and that's just BeyondEV.xyz. That's my handle.
Thanks for joining us. Really good to see you. And signing off from
Melbourne. Thanks you very much, Roscoe, for having me, and thanks everyone for watching. It's been a pleasure. Hope to be on again soon.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for joining me. Cheers. And that was Dave, and a big thank you to him for making the time. That was filmed late last night. A wealth of knowledge, great entertainment, a lot of fun, great guy. Just join his channel. He's got plenty of subscribers, but there's great content, and he's put a lot of work into everything he's done. He's branching out from BYD to everything, all brands. He's got his work cut out. He's got a real job as well as a YouTuber and a fanatic and a driver, and obviously loves that car, which is the most important thing to us. The passion that for a new brand, for that car, shown by that guy, we applaud it. So thanks for everyone for joining us this week. It's a lot of fun. Great catch up with Dave. Next week, we've got another great show for you as well. A surprise. I'm just cooking up at the moment. We'll leave you again. And thanks for those of you who joined us live. I think we've reached our maximum again. Follow our journey. Come along. We'll be here. We'll leave you with some other amazing cars at Amazing EV. And I'm Roscoe, and we'll look forward to joining you next week. Can we do it?